Good afternoon, Las Vegas. This is Megan Barth with ReaganBaby.com, 790 Talk Now, Talk That Rocks, coming at you live from Sin City, Las Vegas. Sitting in for W.A.R, Wayne Allyn Root, the capitalist, evangelist warrior. As I do every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 4, I am happy to do so because I love to go to war on your behalf. And the biggest weapon we have in our arsenal is the truth. And this microphone is my blowtorch of truth, as I say each and every time I am behind this mic. And we always get to the root of the problem with Wayne Allyn Root, don't we? He doesn't mince words. He states the obvious. He says it like it is, just like Donald Trump, right? They're both guys from New York. So you don't have to question what they're thinking because they're going to let you know. Now, I'm from Chicago, right? So I don't got that New York swagger, but I got some street smarts. Chicago isn't obviously a easy city. It's a windy city, but it's a good city. It's one of my favorite cities. And the last time I had this mic, Tuesday, I was on fire. I was so on fire because Obama chose to go back to the community that he supposedly organized in order to give his farewell address. Is this like the longest goodbye? We've got 7 more days. And the quote-unquote lame duck president is now lining up troops abroad over in Poland, rattling the saber, the war saber, against Putin. He just will not go away quietly. And this is what I want the listeners to understand. He wasn't raised to go away quietly. He was raised as a community organizer. He is supposed to agitate. He is supposed to create chaos. He is supposed to divide. And so we can expect this type of behavior for 7 more days. And we can also expect this behavior beyond. Because the community organizer just bought a $5 million pad, built a wall around it. He's going to have a wall. Doesn't want the country to have a wall, but he's going to have a wall. All right, so he's going to move into his $5 million pad, have around-the-clock security, Secret Service, got the wall, and he is going to use the tons of money that pour in through a variety of George Soros foundations, Ford Foundation, etc., so he can continue to instigate and agitate and undermine President Trump. Because as he told us and as he promised, he was hell-bent on the fundamental transformation of this country. And now that Donald Trump has ripped that despotic dream away from the Democrats, that's why they're becoming so unhinged. So he is hell-bent on making sure that he will work, not in the shadows. Like he told us, he'll come straight out. If he thinks that a policy is wrong for the American people, he's going to do something about it. He's going to rise up and say something about it. And don't you think that the press isn't going to be up his skirt trying to get the first sound clip and following him around like the lapdogs that they are? And nothing was more apparent than the lapdog media than their actions over this past week. You know, I had this mic on Tuesday, 3 to 4. Was it last week? We got that caller, Jack Jameson. Tuesday? Yeah, so, you know, this breaking news comes across, and Jameson tells me, hey, we got, I think, a Never Trumper or something on line 1. His name is Jack. And I'm like, all right, cool. I love to hear from progressives. Okay. The acolytes of Barack Obama and the progressive movement. I love to hear from them. Why? I love debate. And they're usually not open for debate. But I love to hear why they are so dedicated to a party that has morphed into the party of Marx. This is no longer your grandma and grandpa's Democrat Party or your mom and dad's Democrat Party. This is a party that's being run and led by radicals. Radicals who promise to fundamentally transform this country. Why? Because they don't like it. Radicals like Dick Durbin, who want to eliminate the Electoral College. Why? Because they want mob rule through the popular vote. Radicals that are running this country, that seek to undermine the foundation of this republic. They have never liked the Constitution because it's gotten in their way. It's gotten in their way of expanding the federal government, and has gotten in their way of their tyrannical efforts. And now Donald Trump has gotten in their way. So they are going to do everything they can to discredit, disparage, and sabotage the president-elect before he takes office and when he comes into office. They're even planning to sabotage his inauguration. And leading the charge are the communists. Communist Party USA, W.A.R.s, Michael Moore, communist from Canada, W.A.R.s, communist from Chicago. Then we got the celebrity communist comrades that are going to fly in. And they've taken a whole full page article out in the New York Times calling for anarchy on the streets of D.C. Now, if they don't get their way to create anarchy on the streets of D.C. due to Secret Service and FBI and all of the security around the inauguration, you can bet they're going to try to bring that anarchy to our streets, especially in sanctuary cities. Because Chicago, my hometown, is a large sanctuary city. 800 murders last year, thereabouts. Every 2 hours, someone is shot. Every 11 hours, someone is murdered. And Barack Obama had the gall, the nerve, to fly back there to give his farewell address from in front of 18,000 lemmings, to pat himself on the back and say, God, I did such a great job. You're standing on 800 graves. You're standing in the middle of a sanctuary city that has turned into a war zone. We have a gang violence problem in Chicago, as well as other sanctuary cities. We do not have a gun violence problem, period. So I'd love to hear some progressives call up and talk about gun violence. Because that's not the problem. The problem is the sanctuary cities that act like a magnet. Do you know that the Mexican consulate just came out today and said that illegal immigrants are flocking to Chicago in the droves? Why? Because the doors are open for business under Rahm Emanuel. He is going to defy federal law in order to protect who? Not the 800 people that are now 6 foot under. Some of them, a 6-year-old girl was shot by a stray bullet right around Christmas, died. There was no sanctuary for her. So we're going to see a battle. And Jeff Sessions is going through the battle right now as he is in nomination hearings and has been for the last couple days, being grilled and being accused by the progressives and being smeared that he's a racist. But that's all that the Democrats have, are empty accusations of bigotry. And when I was on this mic on Tuesday, I had written about the showdown. I had talked about the writing that Katie Grimes and I had contributed to ReaganBaby.com called The Chicano Marxists Prepare for Battle Against the Trump Administration. And when I was talking about it on a different radio show, the guy said, geez, this reads like a conspiracy theory, but it's all packed with facts. Yeah, because the facts are the truth. It's the root of the problem. So when you look at the history of the people that are lining up against Donald Trump to protest federal law, to defy federal law, like they are doing in California by appointing Javier Becerra, who has a very long Marxist past. And then they hire Eric Holder in California, right? Eric Holder, the gun runner, in Fast and Furious, who, because of his illegal gun running operation, a border agent by the name of Brian Terry was shot in cold blood by an illegal immigrant. That is the type of policy that California and Chicago want to protect. And I have to ask, is that the type of policy that progressives or Democrats, let's just call them Democrats for a change, okay? Do you really think that people that are fleeing from Mexico because of the drug lords and the cartels, do you really think they want to flee to a hellhole like Chicago and be in the crossfire of gang warfare between the MS-13 gangs and the Bloods and Crips? You know, a lot of people escape their third world countries because they're looking for safety. And at the very minimum, we could provide them safety if we enforced federal law. Doesn't matter how many laws, gun control laws we have on the books. Doesn't matter how many laws we have on the books. If we're not enforcing the law, what good are the laws? And so we got 7 days. 7 days. Until we got a new sheriff in town and a new deputy in town. And there's going to be some law enforcement going on. I can tell you that. And it's going to be fun to watch. And it's going to be fun to talk about, especially after this break, because I got some cuts for you all from the Mike Pompeo hearing today, as well as, what's the other cut I got for you? Hold on. Oh, this is a good one. I also got one from General Mattis. Oh, you're going to love this. Don't turn the dial. This is Megan Barth going to war on your behalf and Wayne Allyn Root. 790 Talk Now, Talk That Rocks. We'll be right back. Good afternoon. This is Megan Barth with ReaganBaby.com, filling in for the capitalist evangelist warrior, Wayne Allyn Root, going to war on his behalf for you every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 4. I love having this microphone, and I love Wayne Root because he says it like it is. He tells it like it is. And if you're in Las Vegas, you're listening to 790 Talk Now, Talk That Rocks. And I know he's got fans all over the country. Even a fan in South Carolina bought him a billboard, and it says, "Who is Wayne Allyn Root?" Well, you'll know who Wayne Allyn Root is because he'll be in here at 4 if you haven't heard him before. You're not going to want to miss it. He and I will talk for the first segment about what's going on in the world, and then he'll take over the mic until 6 o'clock. But I had the mic this morning, too, for Kevin Wall from 9 to 12, and I didn't have a chance, obviously, to watch a lot of the nomination hearings. But in between the break I had between noon and 3, I ran home and, did a little research, and I grabbed a couple clips, and Jameson was able to put them into some cuts for me, so I was glad that he was able to. So thank you very much, Jameson. He makes this place work and run like a well-oiled machine as best as he can. He does a great job. But I'm sitting here, and I'm looking at some of the chatter, right, going on Facebook. And if, by the way, that we just had a caller that called in. If you want to get a hold of me and send me some information, I'm always open to that. And one of the reasons why I love having this microphone is because of the callers and because of the information I learn from the audience. I learn something nearly every day, which is fantastic. So if you'd like to call and you're local, 702-546-4790, 702-546-4790, or toll free 844-263-8232, 844-2 Nevada. So I'm, looking around Twitter, looking around Facebook, looking around Drudge. And I'm like, oh, yeah, right. We got 3 hearings going on. We got Ben Carson, General Mattis, and Mike Pompeo. So I started doing a little research. And I found a couple clips. And if there are some people out there that do not understand why we are in the world we are in as far as Islamic jihad, okay, we can say that now. Yes, we have radical Islamic terrorists. Yes, we are in jihad. Yes, Fort Lauderdale was jihad. No matter what the intelligence agencies want to tell us, because the intelligence agencies, including the DHS, whitewashed all of their manuals Every single one of them, from the word you cannot use. If you work in the Department of Homeland Security, you cannot use jihad. Do you wonder why we're losing? If we cannot identify the enemy or name the enemy or recognize the enemy, we don't have an enemy. We aren't going to destroy the enemy. And nothing was so more apparent to me than watching General Mattis and a Democrat by the name of Kristen Gillibrand. I believe she took over the seat that Hillary Clinton left in upstate New York. And to listen to this exchange between this female senator from New York, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed for her. And I was honestly embarrassed to be a female, quite frankly, because I could not believe that someone of this, what would you call it, intellectual bankruptcy is actually making decisions on behalf of the safety and the security of the American people. It is no wonder why we have jihadists walking amongst us. Not only because of open borders, because this administration has been busy fighting climate change. Because remember, John Kerry told us BTUs from air conditioners are more dangerous than ISIS. His words, not mine. So listen to Kristen Gillibrand, senator from New York, cross-examine, if you will, General Mad Dog Mattis. Let's go to cut, what is it? 8, is it? Yeah. Yeah, the senator's time should have expired a long time ago. Do we have enough gays in the military? Do we have enough women in the military? The question should be, do we have enough lethal warriors in the military? And I love his response. I really don't care who sleeps with who or who they're going to bed with at night. And this entire dumbing down of the military operation that we have witnessed under the commander-in-chief, Barack Obama. Meaning, oh, do we have a gay warship? Well, we got a Harvey Milk naval ship now. Well, is that fighting ISIS, or is that just collecting rust in a San Diego Bay? And this is the progressives for you. We want to make sure that we have affirmative action in every single aspect for quote-unquote equality. Our military should not be a practice field for affirmative action and social construct. Our military should be designed to destroy the enemy. As General Mattis says, that it will be their worst day when they meet us and their last day. And as he also says, have a plan to kill everybody you meet. And thank God for General Mattis. And thank God, honestly, for the likes of Kristen Gillibrand, who will continue to demonstrate the complete ethical bankruptcy and intellectual bankruptcy in their continued quest under the guise of social justice. They are proving themselves to be inept and incompetent, and I say, let them keep talking. And I'm going to keep talking right after this break. This is Megan Barth with ReaganBaby.com, filling in for War, Wayne Allen Root. 790 Talk Now, Talk That Rock. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Megan Barth, ReaganBaby.com, 790 Talk Now, Talk That Rocks, coming at you live from the rainy city of Las Vegas. We're getting some of that northern swell that they had up there. There are roads closed up in Washoe County. So we're getting a little bit of the leftover drizzle. It's a little cloudy out there, but we need it. I like it. I'm filling in for Wayne, as I do every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 4, and then Wayne will join us at 4 o'clock, and then I'll sit with him for about 15 minutes, and then he'll take over the mic. Tomorrow morning, I'll be back on this mic from 9 to 12, so I'd love to have you join me. because God knows there's going to be more news to talk about. Every time I open Drudge, it seems like there's just breaking news left and right because this quote-unquote lame duck president is not done destroying and creating more chaos. He is going to milk it for everything that he's got. He's got 7 more days to create chaos. And he's still going to create a lot of chaos after he leaves our house. Because it is our house. And I don't know if you heard, but Donald Trump is changing the office of the First Lady to the office of the family so that both Melania and Ivanka can work together on issues that are near and dear to them. And I think it's a great idea. You know, it's his White House. At least he's not having a communist green czar by the name of Van Jones walk our halls. I'm sure we're not going to find any Chairman Mao ornaments hanging from the Christmas tree this year. But the new sheriff is coming into town 7 days, and I'll get that countdown clock because I love to know. I'm kind of weird like that. I like to know the minute down to the second because, like I said, since November 8th, the time has been going by pretty slow. But I opened up this segment on this hour, rather, with immigration and how there is a battle that is brewing between Rahm Emanuel and California especially. California has lined up Eric Holder, which is a total joke. Only man to be held criminally contempt in Congress, only AG. Running guns to the drug cartels in order to, why? Create more gun laws. So there'd be a spike in crime. Well, he got his wish. Brian Terry was killed by an illegal alien using one of those Fast and Furious guns. And I reached out to a caller that we had last week, and I invited him to call back, and he has. And I'd like to go to caller Robert on line 1, Jameson. Hey, Robert.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, young lady.
How you doing?
I'm trying to stay dry.
I know, right? We all are. Now, the reason I wanted you to call back was because I didn't realize it was you when I had taken your call. I thought you were just a regular old caller, but I'm going to give the audience a little bit of background. I met Robert around Christmas time, and I was immediately, he's got a great smile. He was wearing this big old cowboy hat and some cowboy boots, and I'm like, I got to know that guy over there. And it turned out that his wife, who's a Latina, had my picture in a notebook and said, hey, have you heard about this voter fraud thing going on here? And I'm like, that's my story. Well, then we just all hit it off, right? So Robert was telling me that he is part of a Minuteman organization, and I have a very special place in my heart for those guys because they always, pick up the battle where the battle is needed, and they protect us and our border. And Robert did a lot of work at the border, didn't you?
10 years. I'm the founder and the leader of the Mountain Minutemen. The Mountain Minutemen. We predominantly are, what the Border Patrol has given us the nomenclature as being counter-narco-terrorists. My organization isn't concerned so much about Julio Cornfulio looking for a lettuce field in Fresno. We concentrate on heroin smuggling and narcotics trafficking on the border.
Now, in the 10 years, 10 years up until when? Was that recent that are you still involved?
No, actually, my last border operation was October 12th to the 19th, last full moon of last year prior to the election. I made that the last border op because if Hillary Clinton had have gotten elected, there would be no border. And with Donald Trump's election, we're going to get the wall.
Right. Now,
and now the borders. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, and that was that's a good segue to my next question. So when Robert and I had met around Christmas, you had said something that really caught my ear, and what you had said is now that we know that the border is going to be secure by the wall, we're going to turn our backs on the border and we're going to go into the inner cities. And tell the audience what exactly you have planned, and you developed kind of this website organization where people can get involved, and let's run with that.
Right. I've been working with the Border Patrol now for 10 years, Megan, and once this last operation came to completion, I was sitting with my Border Patrol friends talking, and the subject came up, now we have to get them removed from the inner cities in the country. That's where I came up with the idea of report and deport on a national level. And what it is, fundamentally, is if you see, like the Janet Reno saying, if you see something, say something, the same parable, same guidelines. If you see somebody in the workplace that you know is illegal, or somebody in your school system that you know is illegal, or in your neighborhood that's illegal, I have a contact number set up by the Border Patrol. It's temporary right now until after the inauguration, when 800 numbers will be made available for the people in America to get involved in this operation. Let's help the Border Patrol. Let's help Customs, Borders, and Enforcement to get the information necessary to get these foreign invaders out of our culture, out of our society, out of our schools, out of our job places, out of our job sites, and let's take our country back. And we can do it on a grassroots level by pointing the law enforcement necessary to do this job in the right direction to save taxpayers' dollars. And predominantly what I'm trying to do, would like to see happen, is a self-deportation process develop. If the illegal element that's in our society, whether it be Hispanic or OTM, which stands for other than Mexican, realize that the people in America are fed up and they're going to be taking information and turning them in, they're going to want to go home on their own. Now, the reason I'm saying that, because if they do get apprehended, they will be fingerprinted and charged and deported. For them to return back to America, they have to go to the back of the line to get entry back into the country. So, and to avoid this apprehension or this fingerprinting or the recording process, I'm praying that they will start deporting themselves. As a matter of fact, this morning when I got up and got my coffee, and I turned my computer on, the very first article that came up was Breitbart.com this morning. Mexican nationals returning home and staying there ahead of Trump, and that's exactly what we want. We want the streets of America, the people that are here and that are here illegally, to realize that the party's over. Take your stuff that you procured illegally or stolen from the American people and leave. I talked to a Border Patrol agent friend of mine in Nogales, port of entry, and he told me, Little Dog, they call me Little Dog. He said, Little Dog, he said, you're not going to believe the amount of traffic we're catching in our southbound lanes with refrigerators and mattresses and big wheels and trailers packed, leaving America. And this is what we want. We want our freeways back. We want our schools back. We want our lives back. We want our society. We want America back. And to avoid this apprehension, detainment process, we're fermenting the self-deportation process. Just get up and go. Don't be told. Just go ahead and load your stuff and get the heck out of here. We don't want you here, and we're going to come and we're going to drag you out if you don't leave on your own.
Now, I understand that mass immigration costs us $296 billion a year, and you saw firsthand at the border, specifically if you were their majority of the time during the Barack Obama administration, and I don't have a long time for you. You saw a spike, is that correct?
Absolutely.
And you saw a spike in heroin, because I had just learned that heroin necessarily doesn't come from the Middle Eastern region. They're actually growing poppy in Mexico, and that's where a lot of this heroin is coming through, correct?
Yes, that's exactly correct.
Yep.
We knocked out Southern California section. Well, we cut it back quite heavy with the fence construction there. When I was at Penthouse Magazine, April '08, that was the earmark that got the fence construction in San Diego County. So I know it can be done. One person can make a difference if they just stick and stay and make it pay. So what's happening now is heroin addiction is up 100% across the nation, and those are valid statistics. And the problem is the lack of border patrol that's being purposely sit in different directions or purposely undermanned is allowing a free rein on our border by the various cartels that's distributing and transporting this narcotic into our main cities. Currently, right now, I have been working the Veco Valley area, in Arizona, which is above the Tono Odom Indian Reservation, which is controlled by the Sinaloa cartel. And it is the main vein of heroin traffic into America because it accesses the interstate system. And once the dope is made it to the interstate, once the heroin makes it to the interstate, it's pretty much all across the country.
It's gone, right? Yeah, it's viral, right? Exactly.
Yeah, it's in Cincinnati, it's in Memphis, it's here.
Right.
So the trick is stopping it from coming. So the trick is the wall, and not only just a wall, man that wall with I'm a proponent for returning all our troops back to America. We got problems in the world. Let the people in the world deal with the problems. America is not the policeman of the world, and we should be taking care of our own issues. There's this rampant Muslim invasion has got to be dealt with. The rampant Hispanic invasion has got to be dealt with. The rampant Chinese invasion and the baby factories that are going on in Southern California have got to be stopped. And Donald Trump will do this. And as far as the sanctuary cities that they're trying to promote or putting together, all Donald Trump has to do is turn the money off, and you'll see the song and dance change in Moonbeam Land over there in California, and Ronald Emanuel up there in Chicago, and other the sanctuary cities that are established across the United States.
So tell our listeners, and I'm gonna have to cut you off here, Robert, because I have to go to break. But tell our listeners where we can find you. www.mountainminutemen.com. MountainMinutemen.com. www.mountainminutemen.com. All right, Robert. Well, I thank you so much. I appreciate your call, and I'm glad that you were able to call back and give us some time. And thank you for protecting our borders.
God bless you, and it's my God and country, Megan.
God and country. Thank you so much. God and country, folks, and I'll be going to war on your behalf, just like Robert has gone to war on your behalf, protecting our borders. I'm going to protect you with the truth after this break, so don't go anywhere. We'll take your calls as well. We got some calls on hold. You can call in 844-263-8232, 844-2-NEVADA. Megan Barth, ReaganBaby.com, 790 Talk Now. Talk That Rocks. Welcome back, Las Vegas. This is Megan Barth, ReaganBaby.com, filling in for War, Wayne Allen Root, the capitalist evangelist warrior that he is. 790 Talk Now, Talk That Rocks. If you're listening live and local in rainy Las Vegas. And we got a border assist. Let's see. We got line 2. We got James on line 2. Yep, I'm going to do this. Are you there, James?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. First, I want to say you're awesome, and God bless you. I used to help the Border Patrol volunteer down there, and I want to tell you something. I'm going to say it. I'm not afraid. I'm not going to curse. Now, let me go. Number one, since 2009, when Obama started destroying our country, he's a dope-smoking terrorist. He helps terrorists. He helps criminals. He's a criminal. Rahm Emanuel, Obama, and Eric Holder allowed Vicente Jesus Zambada and the Zambada cartel and the Sinaloa cartel to bring heroin and drugs into our country because we rolled up on a semi-truck full of heroin and machine guns, and they were surrounded, and the Obama administration said, no, let them go. And there's no doubt about it. So I want to see a hearing in Congress where all the evidence that's on file will be pulled up, and they need to be arrested. Rahm Emanuel, Obama, and Eric Holder are criminals. They allowed guns and heroin into our country, and a lot of kids died, a lot of officers died, and they need to be prosecuted, and the evidence is all there. Jesus, Vicente Zambada, and the Zambada cartel, there's no doubt about it. And the other thing is regarding this country, that you cannot have any more of vote-gathering companies from illegal aliens gathering votes for them because they're the ones that put Nevada, Colorado, and California over the top. If you go Mi Familia Vota and you just ask the Secretary of State, we want to open the bundles to separate the non-residents from the residents, Trump won Colorado, Nevada, and real damn close in California anyway. Eric Holder, Obama, if you're listening, and Rahm Emanuel, you criminals, you allowed the dope into our country, and we're not going to give up. And one day we're going to have a trial, and they're going to be prosecuted for aiding and abetting criminal and terrorist activity.
Well, thank you so much, James. I appreciate your call. And you know what was interesting? I was talking to, who was my interview with? He was the Gun Owners of America, Larry Pratt. Larry Prado was interviewing gunowersofamerica.org last Tuesday, and he basically said the same thing, that Eric Holder should be brought up on charges for the illegal gun running operation called Fast and Furious. And honestly, he's got blood on his hands. I'd like to see Eric Holder prosecuted just as much as James. Well, don't go anywhere because we're going to war with war. Wayne Allen Root. He'll be in here at 4 o'clock. This is Megan Barth filling in for him. ReaganBaby.com, 790 Talk Now. Talk that rocks.
All right, Wayne Allen Roots, we're on. All right, so the show is War Now. Megan Barth took over the first hour for me. Thank you, Megan. I almost didn't make it on time for the second hour.
Came in like
I raced in.
Fire.
I raced in 30 seconds ago.
With nearly like a fur coat. I'm like, who is this pimp?
Well, it's cold and it's rainy and the traffic is a disaster out there on the roads.
I know. I have to go to the Strip.
Anyone of the 215, it's a disaster out there. Everybody in this town is like 90 years old and paralyzed by rain. It's the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Or on meth. I've never seen the worst drivers in my life. And I lived in L.A. and I've lived in Chicago and I've driven in New York. These are the worst drivers ever.
No doubt. A lot of people are on meth in Las Vegas.
Good God.
So I did get here just in time, 30 seconds ago. I want to make sure you know that this is War Now and that this show is sponsored by Swiss America, the #1 precious metals company in America. I call them the gold standard. Contact Swiss America at 800-BUY-COIN, 800-BUY-COIN, or call them at SwissAmerica.com. The call-in number for this show, by the way, 702-546-4790, 702-546-4790, or if you are in California, it is toll-free, 844-263-8232, 844-263-8232. All right, so Megan grabbed the first hour. I have no idea what you talked about, but I did yesterday on this show say how smart you were, that I believed the idiotic, lying government fools who said that the Fort Lauderdale killer was just insane. He probably is insane, because to be a mass murderer, you have to be insane. But he's not just insane. He's also insane and a Muslim.
A jihadist.
And you said that from day one.
I said that from day one.
And I heard from day one, from second one, that he walked into an FBI office and said, the government's in my head and they're making me watch ISIS videos. So I didn't think of him as a jihadist. I thought of him as an insane madman. But he is, in fact, someone who converted to Islam. He is, in fact, he converted to a specific name, Sheikh Hamad, years before joining the Army. And I should have known. The tip-off was I was on the treadmill when this attack happened, and I'm watching Fox News, and within seconds of this going on the air, the Democratic senator of Florida is announcing the guy's name, and it's an Hispanic name.
Right.
When do they ever announce a person's name within
Exactly.
seconds of it being announced on the air?
Exactly.
They make sure they have it right. Nobody ever gives a guy's name out. They gave it out because they were so happy it was not a Muslim name.
Yeah, and they were also so happy that they could blame another white Hispanic.
Right.
Right?
Right. So they didn't mention anything about him having converted to Islam. And then very quickly, within an hour, the FBI was announcing he'd walked into an FBI headquarters and said that the government's in my head and they're making me watch ISIS recruiting videos. Why were they creating this framework that he's insane so quickly? Because they wanted to cover up that it was a Muslim terrorist attack, as usual.
Correct.
So it's very strange circumstances, and it confused me and threw me off. And then they know 3 or 4 days later there's a new news cycle, something new happens, and you just forget about it and move on. And no one in America is thinking of this as a Muslim terrorist attack because it's old news already, and they remember he's insane.
Well,
and
right,
that's it.
and so they wanted to get the narrative out that quickly. And you know, I called you that day, like within a few hours, and I called into your show. And I was literally like a raving lunatic. And I'm like, this is Islam, right? And you're like, how do you know? How do you know? And I'll just...
Well, I want to be careful on my show. We get the right information
Well,
out,
and
that's all.
believe me that I would never open my mouth or put something in your head that I had not verified first. And so, you know, just so you know that I know a lot of things before they hit the press. I'm involved in a lot of different things that give me intel.
But you know what's interesting? Assuming that he did walk into an FBI office and he did say, and we don't know if any of this is true, might have been a government throwing you off, but if he did say the government is in my head and they're forcing me to watch ISIS videos, and they sent him to a nut house and took his gun away, which is the cover story.
That's a cover.
Then they gave the gun back?
Well, and that's why I was going nuts on your show. I'm like, are you telling me right now that this dude walked into an FBI office, said what you just said, and they're like, thanks, here's your gun back, carry on? I mean,
It's strange.
if that is our intelligence agency, we need a complete top to bottom drain of that idiot swamp, because if that's our intelligence, we're screwed.
Megan, that is our intelligence.
I know.
And we are screwed. So
That's
even
what I'm saying.
Even if any of that's true, either way, that's our intelligence.
Right.
Listen, how about this one? An internet funny guy, a guy who's trying to make a joke, who's known as an internet comedian of sorts and a rabble-rouser, tells a story in a chat room about Donald Trump and hookers in the same bed as Obama at a Russian hotel.
Mm-hmm.
British intelligence picks it up and assumes it's real.
Mm-hmm.
They give it to John McCain, who assumes it's real, who gives it to the CIA, who assumes it's real,
Mm-hmm.
who gives it to NBC and BuzzFeed, who assumes it's real. They're all fools now. They all look like idiots. John McCain should be forced to resign.
He should be censured and recalled.
Right. And yet, that's our intelligence community. The
Right.
CIA has no idea if anything's real. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. I still don't know if there were or there weren't. But all I can tell you is a war happened from it, and we never found them. And the same people are telling you Trump was in bed, and it comes with a bunch of hookers defiling a bed to make his point that Obama's an idiot. And I don't blame him for that, by the way. But that wasn't him, and he didn't do it. The whole thing was made up from scratch by an internet blogger who's a comedian. And so this is what passes for national intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Our intelligence agencies treated a jihadist with not even kid gloves. They let him go. They completely let him go. And the same intelligence agencies now want to frame Donald Trump as being a sexual deviant. That's where their priorities are.
Right.
This is why we've been so effed for the last 8 years, because we have had a complicit commander-in-chief who is fighting climate change and gender justice wars instead of the fight to ISIS.
And he's on the side. I won't say he's on the side of ISIS. I'll say he's on the side of Islam.
Of course he is. He just stabbed Israel in the back.
Right. And so his heart was never in any fight against any Muslim enemy anyway. Even if, assuming he's a good guy, his heart wasn't there. I mean, it's kind of like this. Why don't I paint Obama in a nice way if Right Wing Watch is listening? So I grew up with two Jewish parents. I was bar mitzvahed. I was very Jewish. Today I don't necessarily feel Jewish. Matter of fact, I go to church a lot of times on Sunday, especially on Christmas and Christmas Eve and Easter. So I'm kind of non-religious nowadays.
Like a hybrid.
Yeah, hybrid. But I'm not a super religious person. I'm a super God person. Two different things. I'm not a big fan of either churches or synagogues. But the point is, I grew up around Jews, and love Jews. And will always love Jews because of that. So isn't it just reasonable to assume that because Obama grew up around nothing but Muslims in Indonesia, Muslims, today, no matter what he is, let's assume he's even telling the truth and he thinks he's a Christian. Let's assume that. He goes to church and he's a Christian. Don't you think the same way I love Jews and I would have a hard time ever waging a war against Israel? Don't you think that Barack Obama would have a hard time ever waging a war against Islam or hating Muslims or disliking Muslims or wanting to imprison Muslims or wanting to call them terrorists because he grew up around them? So even trying to be nice about it, assuming he's a Christian, assuming he's a good guy, assuming he's on our side, and I don't assume any of that, but assuming all that's true, how about just the narrative is Barack Obama is too conflicted to ever lead a war against Islam, just like I'd be too conflicted to ever lead a war against Israel. I could never kill Israelis.
He can't even cross home plate with the first pitch.
Right. Well, I know. I understand.
I mean, the guy is a limp-wristed weakling, and this is why
Who loves Islam.
Right, which is fine. But he also loves Marxism. And when people say, oh, he's a Christian, okay,
Well,
well, then let's...
But Islam crosses with Marxism.
Correct.
It's not unusual. Most
they're
Muslim
both
countries are
totalitarian in thought.
Right.
Right.
Most Muslim countries are basically Marxist countries.
Yeah, it's all about subjugation and domination.
Right.
So they have a lot of things in common. But what I'm saying is when you look at liberation theology, which is the only church that he sought out that he had his kids baptized at, liberation theology fundamentally is Marxism.
That was
period.
Reverend Wright? Was that
Correct.
Reverend Wright? Yeah. Okay.
Black liberation theology. Then you look at Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine, Hillary Clinton's running mate. He was a Jesuit. He went to Honduras to study Catholicism. Why didn't he go to Rome? Why? Because liberation theology is Honduran and Marxist in Genesis, right? It's Central America Marxism. And so that's why Tim Kaine went there. So I don't want to hear that these people are Christians, okay, because they have a warped Christianity that is not your typical Catholicism or your typical Presbyterian, right? It's not your typical Christian like you and I are going to
You don't
church.
even need to prove any of this. I've got the proof. I went to Columbia with all these commies.
Right.
And all of them were like Obama then, and there was no one around, and they weren't running for office. There was no media with a camera or a microphone in their face, and they all admitted what they were. Every kid I went to Columbia with said they were a communist, said they hated Christianity, said they hated America, said they hated Israel, said they hated rich white people, even though everyone was white. They hated white people like their parents because they were forever guilty about being born to rich white parents, and they felt like every problem.
White privilege
Yes,
card.
yes, white privilege.
Yeah, that's why we're accused of it. They
Yes,
feel,
they believed every problem in the world that kept black people and people of color down, and gay people and women down. All of those problems were created by white men, and they all were embarrassed at being white men.
And
Everyone I met at Columbia was like that.
And you know what? I wrote this piece over a year ago. I just came across it in a conversation that I had with Katie Grimes. And I wrote on the Title IX expansion. And I think I'll talk about that maybe next Tuesday. And if you have a college-aged son, right, that is in college right now.
I have one who'll be there in a year and a half.
Okay. Well, thank God for Donald Trump, and hopefully he'll pull back the reign of Title IX, because under that expansion, it specifically denies Fourth Amendment due process to men, usually, that are accused of sexual assault. And sexual assault can literally be like touching. Right? So this is the war on men, and I call it.
Or it could be a man and a woman, a boy and a girl in college, not even men and women. A young man and a young woman go on a date, they have sex, and when it's over, she says, "You raped me."
Right. And he does not go, there is no police investigation.
There's no trial.
There is no trial. Well, there is a trial, but it is not conducted.
It's not a trial.
It
With
is,
a judge.
It's basically a kangaroo court.
Right.
So you have Title IX administrators sitting there. He has no legal representation. It's usually the girl is believed over the boy, and his life is ruined. And this is how, when you look at the rape case that came out of the University of Virginia, was it?
Yes, Virginia.
And I call it
that didn't exist.
Correct.
There never was
I
a rape.
call it the Cavalier rape of a university.
They called it a gang rape, but there was no
rape.
rape.
Of a fraternity.
It was a
Correct.
completely made up story.
The same thing with the chick at Columbia carrying the mattress,
mattress.
around on
Yeah,
her
yeah,
back.
yeah.
This was all related to the Title IX expansion called Know Your Nine. It is an absolute insidious type of bill, and the expansion of it is hurting white college-age men.
Right. Well, this is like the gal, and I can't remember her name now, but she's a star in Hollywood. I think she's a Disney star, and she put out a tweet the other day and said, "I only wish I haven't had an abortion yet. I only wish I could have one so I could be a true feminist."
That was Lena Dunham, that pig.
Dunham, yeah. So, I mean, these are crazy women. I think they're not happy until they could charge a man with rape.
I wouldn't be happy if I looked in the mirror and my name was Lena Dunham. I wouldn't.
But it's like they want to charge a man with rapes. They could prove
Right.
that women are always subjugated and women are always treated horrible and men are rapists and men are horrible. And this is going on at college campuses all over the country.
We're not all like that, men. I love men. I love men. I love.
That's
yeah,
a good
I love
thing.
all men.
That's a good thing. All right. So, Megan.
It's finding a man, though. Finding a man. Where are all the men? Seriously, we've got a bunch of wussies walking around.
We do. I'd use a different word.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jameson.
I use a
you're
different
man.
word, but Jameson actually bleeped me yesterday for
I
using
might
the
be
other
true
word.
traditional, you know.
Why
I'm not a
can't I
feminist.
use that word? It means cat.
What? Pussy?
Pussycat.
Pussy.
You see, it just bleeped you. You're not allowed to say that
Oh,
word.
I'm not?
No.
Oh.
No, I guess
Sorry.
not. Jameson says we're not. I don't know.
Okay.
To me, it means cat. So, what if I said doggy? Would you bleep doggy? How about puppy? Would you beep puppy? Men are puppies. Most men in America today are puppies.
Wussies. How about wussies?
Wussies. I do say that, and he says that's okay.
Okay.
Or pussycats. You could say pussycats. It just doesn't have the same
Like
deep
I could say
meaning.
Richard Head.
Richard Head. Barack Obama is
Right,
Richard
Richard
Head. Yes. All right. We're going to an ad break. We're saying goodbye to Megan.
I am, yes. Goodbye.
And I've got a great guest coming up. It is Bridget.
Oh, Gabrielle. I'm going to listen. I can't wait.
Brigitte Gabrielle.
I have an interview at 4:30, but I'm going to try to catch as much as that I can. She's great.
And then at 5:20, I've got Andrew Kerr, an investigative reporter at a group, Citizens Audit, whose mission is to empower Americans to hold government accountable. And we're going to find out what they should be accountable for. I think the destruction of the American economy would be, for starters, under Barack Obama. I don't know why people aren't in jail for Obamacare.
I don't know why Eric Holder isn't in jail for Fast and Furious.
Right, and also for Obamacare, what's the name again of the guy who was the architect?
Gruber.
Jonathan Gruber was the architect who admitted he committed fraud because the American people would have voted for it if they knew the truth. Why isn't he in prison like Bernie Madoff for fraud? And maybe under Donald Trump, he will be, and so will a lot of others.
Maybe Hillary Clinton.
Well, boy, I hope so. Wayne Allyn, WAR Now. Say goodbye, Megan.
Bye, Megan.
Megan Barth always does a great job. I'll be with her in Washington, D.C. next week. We'll call in and let you all know what's happening at the inauguration on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Kevin will be here hosting. Wayne Allyn, WAR Now. All right, Wayne Allyn back again. And this is Paradise City. It's called Las Vegas, and it is a paradise here. This is 790 Talk Now in Las Vegas, also 98.1 FM in Palm Springs, Coachella Valley, Rancho Mirage, Indian Wells, Palm Springs itself. Beautiful place. And we're glad to be on the air there, and our show's about to be nationally syndicated all over these great United States of America. We got a great guest on now. We share a wonderful publicist, Sandy Frazier, and her name is Brigitte Gabrielle. We've had her on the show before. She's a New York Times bestselling author and one of this nation's, if not the leading expert on global Islamic terrorism. Brigitte, welcome to War Now. Wayne Allyn, how are you?
Oh, thank you, Wayne. I'm delighted to be with you. And I tell you, listening to you list all the names of all these places sounds so amazing considering we have been freezing in snow in the East Coast.
Yeah, that's why, I was born and raised in New York, and I got the hell out of there. I don't like cold weather anymore unless I'm skiing. That's the only reason I'm in cold weather is to slap on skis.
I don't even want to ski. Just get me to somewhere warm at this point. I'll take anywhere.
But next week I'm joining you in Washington, D.C. I'm coming to the inauguration, so I'll be on the East Coast. I'm on the friends and family list of President-elect Donald Trump, I'm proud to say, and I'll be in Washington, D.C., and I hear that it's supposed to be 60 degrees when I'm there. So I'm bringing good weather with me. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, it's going to be a great week. It's going to be an amazing week.
It's going to be a great 4 to 8 years.
Finally, after 8 years, we're going to have somebody who puts America first, America's security, American jobs, American health, America's interest. What a breath of fresh air. And you know what? It doesn't matter. This is not, the national security issue and America's well-being issue is not a Republican issue. It's not a Democratic issue. It's an American issue. We are thrilled to finally have somebody who actually cares about this country more than he cares about any other country and what anybody else thinks about us and what the United Nations thinks about us and whether or not the Arab world approves of us or not. It's going to be a new era, and boy, are we ready for it.
Oh, I'm ready for it. Believe me, I'm ready for it. And I'd like a president who actually doesn't mind taking sides with Israel, because we love Israel. She's one of our best friends in the world, if not the best friend, certainly the best friend in the Middle East. And there's no reason why you can't say out loud, yeah, I'm a little bit biased. I like Israel. It's a democracy, and they're filled with nice people who remind me of Americans. They are our friends. What's wrong with saying that, Brigitte?
It is the only democracy in the Middle East, Wayne. We need to stand shoulder to shoulder with Israel. Most of our intelligence for years has come from Israel. Israel is America's aircraft carrier stationary in the Middle East watching our back. Mm-hmm. When you look at of all the countries that we deal with and we work with, including all our Western allies, in Europe, no one understands the threat of terrorism than the state of Israel. No one has paid a price because people trying to defend themselves like the Israelis have done. The Israelis have been dealing with this type of terrorism, suicide bombing, people killing people, blowing themselves up, attacking with knives for 60 years, almost 70 years, because we're coming up next year on Israel's 70th independence, 70th anniversary.
Wow.
While the world did not pay attention, Israel knew exactly about how barbaric these people can be when they would be willing to sacrifice their own children in order to kill innocent people. So we should be standing shoulder to shoulder with Israel, regardless of what any of our Arab allies think.
Right. And let me ask you a question. How do you stand? Obviously, at one point, Donald Trump said he was going. He was in support of a ban on bringing Muslims into the United States. Then he pulled back on that, and he called it extreme vetting, not a ban on Muslims. Now, many of his cabinet secretaries are being grilled in Congress, and they're all saying, I'm not for a Muslim ban, but I assume they're for extreme vetting. Where do you stand on an issue like that?
Well, we need to vet immediately anybody who is coming into the country, regardless who they are, but specifically people who come from the Muslim background. Not because they are Muslims, but because right now the whole world is dealing with Islamic terrorism, not Buddhist terrorism, not Christian terrorism, not Hindu terrorism, not Jewish terrorism, but Islamic terrorism. So when you have people coming from countries, especially countries who have links to radical Islam, or who have links to terrorism, and I can name you 5 from the top of my head: Libya, Yemen, even Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is not our ally. I mean, look, 15 out of the 19 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. So we need to scrutinize, and we need to start scrutinizing people coming to our country, starting at the embassies, at the countries of origin, when they go to apply at our embassy to apply for a visa to come to the United States. And we're not even talking refugees yet. But yes, we absolutely have to have extreme vetting. We need to throw political correctness in the garbage. Everybody's trying to stand on their tippy toes, walking on eggshells, not to offend anybody, because by golly, we cannot say it out loud. Well, you know what? Right now, we need to be very careful about Muslims coming into our country, because it is not the Hindus who are killing people, nor the Jews, nor the Christians, nor the Buddhists, nor anybody else. It's Muslims who are now committing terrorism across the world, and we need to be very careful.
And don't you find it strange that 99.9% of every refugee brought into America in the last year by Barack Obama was a Muslim refugee from the Middle East, when there are many Christians being persecuted in the Middle East? Why can't we bring in a Christian from the Middle East under persecution? Is there some reason, some secret society, some handshake, some finger on the nose why Barack Obama knows to only bring in Muslims?
Well, here's how it happened. Because when the refugees are fleeing and going into Europe, they are going into United Nations refugee camps. Now, when the Christians get there, the Muslims start attacking them, raping them, harassing them, beating them. So what do the Christians do? They flee. They go out and say, we're going to try to make it on our own. We're not staying in the refugee camps. So the United Nations, who has the refugees in the refugee camps, they decide on what refugees come to the United States, not the United States. And because the United Nations is under the influence of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, which is the largest bloc at the United Nations, that's why you see a lot of Muslims coming to America instead of Christians, because they are being picked out of these refugee camps. That's how we are ending up with a lot of Muslims in America. And by the way, we at Act for America, my organization, are putting out a video within the next 24 hours that details exactly how the refugees are being picked from around the world, not only Europe or the Middle East or Africa. Now, remember, you heard also about us bringing some Muslim refugees from Australia. Remember that a few weeks ago?
Yes.
So we're putting out a video tomorrow, or definitely by Saturday morning, detailing how the refugees are ending up in here, how much money we're spending on them, the organizations that are making a ton of money. For example, the Organization of Catholic Bishops, whose annual budget is over $85 million. $82 million of it is coming out of your pocket and my pocket. So if you're interested in this type of information, make sure you go to our website, actforamerica.org, and sign up today to receive our emails and action alert, and follow us on social media. Follow Brigitte Gabriel on social media. This video that we are putting out within the next 24 hours about how refugees are coming into the country is going to make smoke come out of your ears.
All right. And so next week I'll be with Donald Trump at the inauguration, at the presidential ball. I'll have some chance to speak to him. I'm not sure if it's going to be a long chance, but I will certainly get some words in. If Brigitte Gabriel could give a message to Donald Trump as to what would be the steps, the first few simple bullet point steps you would take to reduce the odds of terrorism in the United States, tell me what you'd have me say to President Donald Trump.
Immediately let the generals do what they do best, and that is fight wars and take their advice, which we know he will do because he's very different than Obama. Immediately change all our counterterrorism training manuals, which Obama had changed in 2009 and took out all reference to radical Islam, Islamic terrorism, jihad, all of that stuff. We need all these counterterrorism manuals changed back and all this type of language put back into them, so the FBI, the State Department, our first responders will be able to be trained exactly on what to look out for, how to spot suspicious activities. We need to immediately designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization, which will implicate all 29 front Islamic organizations set up by the Muslim Brotherhood in the United States, including organizations like ISNA, the Islamic Society of North America, and NATE, the North American Islamic Trust, and IAP, which later became CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is now the front for Hamas in the United States. We need to be able to realize what we are dealing with and who are the agents of sabotage who are working within our own country to sabotage and destroy our country.
Well, and starting at the top, isn't it President Barack Obama? I mean, how would you classify him at this point after the damage he's done to America, to our respect around the world, to Israel, to our esteem, to our training manuals, to no ability to use the word Islamic and terrorism in the same sentence, to changing the testimony literally of the Orlando shooter at the Pulse nightclub away from using the word Allah, to change the transcript. What would you say about Barack Obama at this point? Because you're like me, you're a blunt-spoken woman who tells it like it is. Tell my listeners how you'd classify Barack Obama. Don't hold back.
Charge him with treason and throw him in jail.
I'm with you. I think he's treasonous.
And throw the key away. What Obama has done to damage our country is beyond word. It is treasonous. There is no other way to describe it. Charge him with treason and throw him in jail. And half of the Democratic Party for what they have done to damage and sabotage the United States of America. We are not respected. We are looked weak on the world stage. Our enemies laugh at us. Our allies cannot trust us. Our military is depleted. Our police officers are afraid for their lives. Our communities are in jeopardy because of everything, because of all the corruption that's happening. We need to protect the country. And Obama is responsible for the worst race relations we have had in this country in over 50 years. And a lot of white people who elected him because they wanted to relieve the white guilt, thinking that he's going to repair relations between whites and blacks. They did exactly, it's the absolute opposite. So he has done so much damage to the country. We need to throw political correctness in the garbage, and we as American citizens need to do exactly what our founding fathers expect of us to do. And we don't even need to lay our life on the line and go fight in the snow and go freeze at night trying to watch whether our American flag is still flying or not. What our founding fathers expect us to do is uphold the Constitution of the United States and put America first and do everything we can to defend her and protect her. And that's what we need to do as Americans. And I am so excited that we are moving into a new era, at least 4 years, hopefully 8 years, where we're going to have somebody at the helm. We're working with the American people for our country to protect our country and turn the ship around instead of working against half of the country in order to sabotage America. And
don't forget, you said a wonderful mouthful, Brigitte, but don't forget, build the wall. Build the wall. Build the wall. You know what I hate? I so despise when liberals say, oh, the wall is like the Berlin Wall. And I say, really? The Berlin Wall was to keep people in. This nation is so great, we're building a wall to keep people out. Don't you understand the distinction? You don't even understand the difference between a wall that keeps people in versus a wall that keeps people out? Israel had a horrible terrorism problem until they built the wall. And then terrorism dropped from 10,000 incidents a year to under 100 in the next year. Walls work. Brigitte, right now at this moment, I live in a double guard-gated community. And actually, it's triple guard-gated because once you get through the gate to get in with armed guards, then there's a gate at my street, and then there's a gate at my home. Triple guard-gated. And guess what? It works. I'm safe. Walls create good Neighbors.
Absolutely. And you know what? The hypocrisy on those people who criticize the wall. You drive in Beverly Hills, you drive in any fancy
All
neighborhood
walls.
across America.
All walls.
You've got walls out the yin-yang. Why? Why do Oprah needs to have a wall? Why she has no problem with having a wall around her property, yet she does not want us to build a wall to protect America's property from the enemy who are trying to come here and do harm to Americans.
Well, Brigitte.
And the same thing goes to Al Gore, to everybody else.
Brigitte, what about Obama? He's building his new house in D.C. with a big wall around it.
Exactly.
How about the Pope, who complained about Trump, and the biggest wall in the world is around the Vatican? They don't get any bigger than the wall around the Vatican. So, I can't stand hypocrisy, and I can't stand liberals, and I can't stand Muslim sympathizers, and I can't stand communists. And unfortunately, we got all four in one president. We hit the lottery with Barack Obama, I got to tell you. It's unbelievable. How the hell did we hit the reverse lottery is amazing to me. Brigitte, we got to go. Love to have you on. Always love having you on. Make sure we have you on more often.
Great being with you. Thank you. And we want people to go to actforamerica.org and join us.
actforamerica.org. I got it right? actforamerica.org. Brigitte
Correct.
Gabrielle. She's great. We love her. Thank you, Brigitte. God bless.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Have a great evening.
All right. Wayne Allyn, War Now. We shall return. All right, Wayne Root, little Bon Jovi to entertain you. We could let that play a little longer. It's a good song, man. Love Bon Jovi. Great group. Rockin' group. Liberal. They played for Hillary Clinton fundraiser. What do we do with these people? I don't know. I love their music. I'm not a typical liberal. I don't ban somebody because I don't like their politics. And here I am playing them on my show. But you know what? I like to think, as Jameson taught me to think, that it would annoy the hell out of them to know that we're playing them on my show. And we helped elect Donald Trump by playing their music. So let them get annoyed. Who cares? We've got Joel on line one. Joel's on line one with W.A.R. Joel, you're on with Wayne Allyn. How are you?
Joel of La Quinta.
Hey, a California caller. I love it. Hey, Joel of La Quinta.
Come on.
Love it.
Hey, what part of the body is the yin yang again?
What part of the body is the yin yang? Why do you ask that question?
Yeah, Brigitte said we had something coming out of our yin yang. I can't remember what part of the body that was.
I don't know, but it's probably not a good part.
But, or hey, you never know. But on a lighter note, is it funny that like 15 minutes before I got fired today, my general manager was whistling this song?
That's not very nice. Why did he fire you, Joel?
Well, it wasn't his fault, and he didn't want to, but it was like a sorry, not sorry situation. Thanks for your help. We used you. You're done.
Well, that's too bad. How old are you, Joel?
27.
All right, young guy. And you were in what, some sort of retail or restaurant business?
Lighting industry.
Lighting industry. So what are you going to do now? Is it too early to even have a thought? Where are you going next?
Well, the first place I went was Trader Joe's. I had to pick up some lemons and chicken stock. My daughter's sick, but so that was on the to-do list regardless. So got that taken care of. Now I'm off to the gun shop, Tim's Gun Shop, just so you know. That's that one place.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so yeah, just kind of relaxing and being humbled, really, because it's all part of God's plan. And I want to say something about Israel. They are our neighbors, and they're God's chosen people. So come on, let's support them.
And it says here you wanted to talk about immigration. What did you want to say about immigration?
I do want to talk about immigration. I like to talk about gun control, but can we talk about immigration control?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, why we register guns, right? How hard is it to register people?
Right. I know. It's not hard. And how hard is it to secure a border? It's not hard if anybody really wants to, but they don't want to. That's the whole point.
I will. Let's do it.
All right.
Oh, wait. We already started it.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
All right, Joe. Joel, we wish you well. I hope you get a new job soon. And not a good way to kick in the new year, but you sound like a very together dude and a nice guy and a positive thinker, so I'm sure you will be fine. His first stop after getting fired or canned was Trader Joe's, my kind of guy. I shop at Trader Joe's here in Vegas a lot. So, Joel, we wish you the best. We've got Renee on line 2. Renee, you're on with W.A.R. How are you?
Hi, Wayne. I heard today on another conservative show, very disturbing about something Obama did today. You ready for this?
Yeah.
He sent 2,500 missiles into Poland.
Well, he's aching for a war. He's
he wants
itching
to start
for
war
a
with
war.
Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wants to try to do this all before Donald gets in next week.
Well, Donald's
Very
getting
scary.
in next Friday, so we have a week and a day, basically, to try and keep us
Where
from getting
he
into
still
World War
could do
III.
a lot of damage.
And he will. Believe me, he will. I know he will. He's going to let a lot of people out of prison the next week. He's going to pass some executive orders in the next week. You know that. Executive orders or executive actions. That'll be bad for the American economy. He's going to figure out some way to hurt Donald Trump in the next week. This guy never stops scheming. Never stops scheming. And he's a guy who watch what he does, not what he says. Because he'll say the best things and then do the worst. He's a vicious little son of a you-know-what. All right.
Yes.
Thank you, Renee. Appreciate the call. So here's my commentary. Speaking of Joel, here's my commentary that's going to be. Do we have to go to an ad break? We do? All right. Take an ad break. When we get back, I'll do my commentary that will be in the Las Vegas Review-Journal on Sunday. And Joel brought up immigration. It is solving illegal immigration without deportation. I have a way to make Donald Trump look like a genius and throw the liberals into a tizzy, never having to deport all the people that are here illegally. But I got a better idea. Wait till you hear my idea. You're going to love it. Wayne Allyn, War Now. All right, Wayne Allyn, my commentary in Sunday's RJ coming up on Sunday. Advance preview the commentary, Solving Illegal Immigration Without Deportation by Wayne Allyn. Democrats are screaming hysterical predictions about the next 4 years of Trump. They believe he will deport millions, uproot families, separate families, send children to a country, Mexico, they've never been to. But none of that has to happen ever. I have a simple plan to solve the illegal immigration problem in America, save the great American middle class, and make America great again. It will also shut up hysterical liberals. First, President Trump, before anything else, get started building the wall. Put that shovel in the ground. Get the party started. That will shut up all the arrogant, delusional liberals who love to say he'll never build the wall. Really? Watch it start immediately. Second, secure the border with thousands of new border agents and thousands of drones. Secure every inch, then give the border agents the freedom to do their job. Put border agents in charge, not lawyers. Third, immediately defund all sanctuary cities. If they choose to disobey the laws of this country, starve them. Cut off all federal funds. Cut them off at the knees. Watch the politicians beg for their money. End of story. No more sanctuary city. Fourth, install E-Verify at every business in America. Every illegal has no choice but to come out from the shadows. Fifth, demand the IRS do their job. Anyone using fake Social Security numbers is arrested immediately for identity theft. Sixth, from this day forward, no one here illegally can collect any welfare benefits. That includes food stamps, Medicaid, aid to dependent children, housing allowances, free meals at school, Obamacare, and earned income tax credits. The gravy train is over. If you want to come to America, if you want to stay in America, you come to work, not steal from the taxpayers. That big, beautiful wall comes with a big, beautiful door. You can come in that door if you want to work. If you don't, you can go home or stay home. It's time for America to stop being stupid. Seventh, illegals already here broke the law, but I'm going to be a nice guy. You can stay. No deportations, but you gave up the right to ever become a citizen. You'll get a work permit and resident status. You're free to stay and work. You won the lottery, but you can never collect welfare or vote. You gave up that right when you came here illegally. Lastly, deport every single illegal alien in prison for a felony. Let Mexico or any other country they came from pay the prison bill, not American taxpayers. But everyone else stays. No deportations. Only the criminals are deported. There's no need for mass deportations. Problem solved. You can stay as long as you're here to work. No welfare, no government handouts, and you can never vote. But you're in forever. You're the luckiest people on earth. If you don't like the terms, go home. but we just did you the favor of a lifetime. Please have the courtesy to say thank you. And with the wall and thousands of new border agents and thousands of drones policing the border, no one new gets in ever again unless we approve them. If they come for a job, the door on the big, beautiful wall opens. All problems solved. No one is deported but felons. Those who remain can't get welfare or vote. The border is secured, so this never happens again, and middle-class Americans have their jobs and wages protected. Everyone wins. Now, let's see what liberals say. If your goal was stopping deportations, you should be thrilled with my plan. If your goal was never having to fear a knock on the door in the middle of the night, you should be thrilled with my plan. You just won the lottery. But if liberals oppose this fair and reasonable plan, then we know they couldn't care less about immigrants. They just see them as future Democratic voters. I dare you to stand in the way of this plan. I double dare you. Wayne Allyn Root in Sunday's RJ. Doesn't that solve every problem? I like immigrants. I got no problem with immigrants. And immigrants are the lifeblood of America. They're good for America. I have no problem with them as long as they come here legally. In the future, every one of you has to come here legally. You're never getting by that big, giant, beautiful wall. But those who are already here, instead of worrying about mass deportations and rioting in the streets and people, Democrats, screaming bloody murder, just let them stay. They won the lottery, but they can never vote. That's it. You can't vote. They'll never be able to defeat us. And not only can't you vote, you can't take welfare anymore. No form of welfare. Not Obamacare either. Not Medicaid. Not earned income tax credits. Nothing. Don't you like immigrants who work, who don't take welfare, and who can't vote? It's problem solved, folks. 100% solved. Those who are here won the lottery, but they're not going to bother us. They're here to work, or they'll self-deport and go home if they don't like the terms. I'm Wayne Allyn Root. War Now. Time for the news. When we come back, lots of calls. 702-546-4790. 90. All right, Wayne Allyn Root, the last hour of today's War Now. And remember, we are going to be announcing national syndication soon. So hopefully in the second quarter of this year, starting in April, you will start to hear us all over the United States of America. A few emails that have come in the last hour. One of the listeners of our show, Doug Miller, just as well throw the highly respected Medal of Honor in the trash. After Obama gave it to Biden, it is clear it is nothing more than a participation trophy. Other emails, let's see. We've got lots of interesting ones. Other interesting emails. Here we go. Well, we heard this from Renee. Obama just moved 3,000 American men and women to Poland today, and the New York Times and all the liberal media ignored it. Only USA Today mentioned it. I can't find it. Isn't the press embarrassed? Amazing. Here's another one. Airbnb rents people personal homes for the inauguration in the Washington, D.C. area. They said they were completely sold out before the election, assuming Hillary was going to win. Once the election came and went, 90% of those bookings were canceled. 90%. They said Obama in 2008 had 1.8 million people in D.C. for the inauguration. Trump will have 400,000 tops. Republicans never book like Democrats. It's possible that D.C. might actually be empty. Laugh out loud. Liberals are so mad they lost. Hillary had so much planned. P.S. Obama just moved 3,000 of our troops to Poland today. Not one station has mentioned it. Barack Obama is trying to lock Trump in. Donald doesn't take crap like this lightly. This came from a very good friend of mine who is a very good friend of Donald Trump. So interesting. Everybody's starting to mention the troops being moved into Poland by good old Barack Obama. I've got a commentary for Fox News that'll be up tomorrow at Fox News, and I thought I'd let you in on it. Complete and total vindication. Obama was up to his old tricks again on Tuesday with his farewell speech. Once again, he lied about the economy and jobs. Or maybe I should phrase it differently. Once again, Obama chose to omit the facts. The good news is I feel vindicated. All conservatives should feel vindicated, as in Complete and total vindication. The great news is our vindication is wonderful news for America, the U.S. economy, and the world's greatest middle class. The vindication is on multiple counts. First, conservative businessmen like me have been alone in the wilderness shouting from the highest mountaintop for 8 long years that the economy was horrible, and we were all being lied to by the Obama administration. The daily propaganda we were fed that the economy was quote-unquote healthy or quote-unquote in recovery was the very definition of fake news. How do we now know that it was all a lie? How do we know it was fake news? Would you accept the word of the top Obama economist? Allyn Kruger, Princeton economist, formerly chairman of President Obama's Council of Economic Advisors, just released a study confirming everything conservatives like me said was true, and everything Obama tried to sell us was a lie. Kruger and his partner, Harvard economist Lawrence Katz, report 94% of every new job created under Obama was a part-time job. 94%. Funny, I've never heard this fact quoted in Obama's farewell speech on Tuesday. Never heard it quoted in the media either. This proves the entire Obama economic narrative was a fraud. There were no jobs created unless you wanted to work part-time for low wages with no health insurance. The only jobs created under Obama were jobs for high school dropouts and illegal aliens. Unless you wanted to work part-time for minimum wage at a retail store or mow lawns or clean toilets or wash dishes or 10 bar, those were the only jobs created for the past 8 years. There were no real jobs, middle-class jobs, high-quality, high-wage jobs you could feed a family of 4 and pay a mortgage with. Who proved it? Not Donald Trump, not Wayne Root, not Cato, not the Heritage Foundation. The chairman of Obama's Council of Economic Advisors. But this news wasn't a surprise to me because I reported a year ago in hundreds of media appearances that Obama had created an economy that only benefited illegal aliens. I based my opinion on a report from Obama's own Labor Department that reported every net job for women in the past decade went to foreigners. That's right. Obama's own Labor Department proved that women gained a measly 1 million net jobs in the past decade, a miserable number. But of that million, the entire net gain went to, quote-unquote, foreigners. The Labor Department admitted they're not in the business of identifying whether foreigners are legal or illegal, only that these workers were foreign-born. So every net job gain in the past decade in America went to foreign-born workers. Where do you think they came from? Do you think these are legal Canadians or Brits or Austrians or Australians? Have you met many new American citizens from Iceland? Because I haven't. Last I checked, our country has been invaded by illegal aliens, not legal immigrants, illegal immigrants, primarily from Mexico and Central America. Common sense, therefore, tells you every net job gain went to illegal aliens. But as far as the heart of the U.S. economy, middle-class American patriots who did everything right, everything asked of them, good people with college degrees, skills, English proficiency, no drugs, no criminal record, this group was abandoned by the Obama economy. We got the shaft. We were left out in the cold. Don't take my word for it. Just ask Obama's former chief economist. His study confirms why all these jobs went to foreigners, because these jobs were low wage, no skill required, no education required, part-time jobs. That's vindication. The great news is we have even more proof of vindication. Everyone agrees the economic engine of America is small business. Small business creates 2/3 of new jobs. Want to know what's wrong with the economy? Ask a small business owner. Want to know how to fix the economy and create jobs? Ask a small business owner. Well, small businessmen and women are the happiest they've been in 37 years because of Trump's election. The U.S. Small Business Optimism Index surged after Trump's election to the highest levels since 1980. And here's the really great news. 3 times more small business owners think it's time to expand than at any time in the past 8 years of Obama. I've argued for 8 long years that the U.S. economy could be turned around quickly by simply electing a fiscally conservative pro-business president like Ronald Reagan. Just like Reagan turned around the misery and malaise of Jimmy Carter by dramatically cutting taxes and regulations, a new Reagan could turn around the horrible Obama economy with the same prescription. Well, we found our Reagan. His name is Donald Trump. Complete and total vindication. Doesn't it feel great? We're back on track. We're about to make America great again. Obama's gone, and America is open for business again. That'll be in tomorrow at foxnews.com. Let's take a quick break, a little bit early. When we get back, we have one guest. And after we're done with the guest, that means the entire second half of this hour and the entire last half hour of the show will be your call. 702-546-4790. Get in the queue now. Wait a few minutes, and you'll be on with Wayne Allyn Root for the entire second half of the show. 702-546-4790 on 790 Talk Now, and in California at 98.1 FM, 844-263-8232, toll free, 844-263-8232. I'm Wayne Allyn Root. This is WAR. All right, Wayne Allyn Root, a big thank you to Jameson for being our wonderful board operator, engineer, and producer all rolled into one. Thank you, Jameson. And if I don't thank him on a regular enough basis, our general manager, kind of / program director / producer is Andrew Paul. Thank you, Andrew. And we've got a guest now here at WAR Now on 790 Talk Now in Vegas, on 98.1 FM in Palm Springs, and soon national syndication beckons, so we'll be all over the country. And our guest is Andrew Kerr, investigative reporter at citizensunited.com, the citizensaudit.com. My eyes are playing games with me. The citizensaudit.com, whose mission is to empower Americans to hold their government accountable. And they do that by actually reading laws and finding out what's in them. Remember when Nancy Pelosi said we got to pass it to find out what's in Obamacare? These laws are all thousands of pages long, and no one has any freaking idea what's in them. And even someone like me, you know, the reason I'm such a good radio host, #1 show in Vegas, why? Because I have attention deficit disorder. I go at 100 miles an hour for 3 hours. You love it. It's entertaining. But now ask me to read 2,000 pages. I'm not interested. Someone's got to give me the bullet points. Someone who's a researcher. Someone who's much more intellectual than me. I'm here to entertain. I don't read 2,000 pages of laws to figure out which words in legalese could really hurt us. So we've got someone with us who actually does that, who's a smart guy, Andrew Kerr at thecitizensaudit.com. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me on. Excited to be here.
So you're the kind of a really cool, nerdy researcher who actually reads this stuff and deciphers it and tells us what's wrong, which I just can't do. I don't have the focus to sit and read 2,000 pages, you know? I'm just a little busy. I'm an entertainer, and I try and be funny, and I try and be outrageous, and I try and have the #1 talk show, and we're being nationally syndicated and all that. Asking me to read 2,000 pages, it would never happen. You're the guy who does stuff like that, right?
Yeah, you know, I actually have a technical background, and I'm using that skill set in journalism. I think that most of the news media is like you. They don't take the time to do the research to actually read the laws. Nobody's doing this. So, yeah, there's a fantastic opportunity for me to come in and utilize my technical skills to, read the 2,000-page law.
And understand that I'm praising you. I think it's great that you do that. I don't have the ability to do it. What's sad is, forget about the media, what's sad is that nobody in politics has the ability or the desire to do it. They pass laws without knowing what's in the 2,000 pages and the 20,000 words. This is crazy, is it not, Andrew?
Oh, it's unbelievable, and that's part of the reason why I decided to move into journalism, because it's craziness. Here's a little secret: the lawmakers don't actually write the laws; they have their staffers write them. Which,
and sometimes, Andrew, don't they have the lobbyists write them too?
Yeah. And yet they come out and they claim that they don't have corporate interests or they're acting non-biased, but they have the people that are going to be benefiting from the laws the most are writing them themselves. So, and then they pass it without actually reading the bill.
It's amazing. So tell us about a specific bill called the Countering Disinformation and Propaganda Act that is now passed, right? This was passed. President Obama signed it into law. And hidden on page 547 is the establishment of the Global Engagement Center. Now, there's a bunch of legalese and gobbledygook and gloppity-gook that I don't understand. But guys like you, we need conservative researchers like you to hunt this stuff out and tell us what it means. This is not good news. Tell us what it means, Andrew Kerr.
No. So Senator Chris Murphy, a Democrat from Connecticut, said before the bill passed that this legislation is primarily dedicated to countering propaganda and disinformation outside the United States. It's not focused on any actions inside the United States because the fear mongering over fake news and foreign disinformation. That's a flat out lie. The original version of the bill that was introduced in July had a provision that said that the activities of this global engagement center shall only be done with the intent to influence foreign audiences, and that none of the funds authorized in this section can be used to influence public opinion in the United States. That language was removed from the final version of the law, which was just signed into law a couple weeks ago. Now it just says that the funds here can be used for the purposes only for countering foreign propaganda and misinformation. So here we have the senator that introduced this bill is claiming that, no, we're not going to be doing any actions from influencing audiences inside the United States, yet the version that was just signed into law removed that limitation.
And who, by the way, Andrew, who is that senator who introduced this law?
Senator Chris Murphy from
Connecticut, right, Connecticut, a real liberal Democrat from Connecticut. So his goal must be trying to silence someone like me, right, a conservative talk show host, in his mind, is passing along fake news and propaganda. Isn't that what this is hinting at?
Yeah, so what this Global Engagement Center can do is they're authorized to provide grants of financial support to civil society groups, media content providers, NGOs, federally funded research centers, private companies, academic institutions. So that means that this center has been authorized $160 million over the next 2 years, will actually be authorized to give money to media corporations. That's what the law allows them to do.
You mean like you could give ABC a check for $10 million, you're saying?
That's what the law says. That's not what I'm saying. That's what the law says.
Yeah.
And here's what they can do with that grant money. They can support efforts by the center to counter efforts by foreign entities to use disinformation, misinformation, and propaganda to influence the policies and social political stability of the United States. That means that the center can develop a narrative, deliver it to a news organization that they support with, $160 million worth of grants over 2 years to counter what they consider to be fake news. What they can also do, they can give grants for these organizations to collect and store examples of print, online, and social media for what they consider to be disinformation, misinformation, and propaganda directed at the United States and its allies and partners. So that means your Twitter feed. A lot of these laws that get passed, the President Obama will take a law. He actually did it with this one. It was a part of the National Defense Authorization Act of 2017, 900-page behemoth of a law. Mm-hmm. And President Obama actually acknowledged on a separate, unrelated provision that this is unconstitutional, but I'm going to sign into law anyway, and we're going to enforce this law. We're going to interpret it in a way that's not going to break the Constitution. So interpreting the language of a law is what the executive branch do. And this law, the nuances of it, give, in my opinion, way too much authority to the intelligence community, which is going to be running this thing, to determine what they consider to be fake news, give money to media organizations that can be in the United States. There's no limitation for them to prevent them from giving grants to domestic entities. That's not present. They have the authorization to do that under this law. And they can even collect and store examples of what they consider to be misinformation in the media. The same intelligence community that was just caught 2 days ago delivering fake intelligence in the form of a bogus intelligence report that was released by BuzzFeed. The same people.
Now, what's interesting is I see here in your press release, the Oxford English Dictionary defines a non-state actor, which is who this law is aimed at, as the following. Some examples of non-state actors: non-governmental organizations, multinational corporations, the international media, violent non-state actors, religious groups, anonymous, an individual with a large Twitter, Facebook following. Well, as an example, I have 150,000 followers on Facebook and Twitter. So they could use this law to go after Wayne Root, right?
Yeah, because the purpose of this center in the law is to counter foreign state and non-state propaganda and disinformation efforts. So when I was reading through this, I was trying to find out what the United States government considers to be a non-state actor, which is what they're authorized to combat. And there's no specific definition in the United States in the United States law that I could find that gives a solid definition for non-state actor. So, yeah, essentially it can be an individual organization that has significant political influence.
And by the way,
with 150
who defines fake news? That's another good question. Who defines what's fake news and what's not? I believe every word coming out of Obama's mouth for the last 8 years was fake news and propaganda, lies and fraud. But Barack Obama would say every word coming out of Wayne Root's mouth is fake lies, propaganda, and fraud, and he'd sick this new law and organization on me. Right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, with 150,000 followers, you have a significant amount of influence with your audience, or really anybody that has a large following. I mean, I point this out, kind of sarcastically, but to make a point that in 2006, Time Magazine quite literally awarded the Person of the Year award to you, with the subtitle, "Yes, you. You control the information age. Welcome to your world."
Meaning all of us.
Exactly. And, the internet is enabling people, regular people, to have a voice, and the power of influence like we've never had before. And it's an incredibly special and powerful thing that can be used for good or can be used for bad. But, so we have an incredible amount of influence as an individual. And, if we have enough influence, if we have enough followers, and the government determines that we're spreading fake information, then sure, the administrator of this Global Engagement Center can make the determination, can interpret what the law allows him to do to define you as a non-state actor. It seems that they absolutely can do that.
All right, so here's my last question for Andrew Kerr of the citizensaudit.com. And the question is a simple one. With Donald Trump as president, could he just make this go away?
Well, that's where this gets really interesting, because Donald Trump's administration is going to have the authority to use this law and interpret it however they want. This was part of over 900-page law that was just signed, the National Defense Authorization Act. Presidents don't have a line item veto. They can't, pick and choose which provisions they want to keep and what they want to get rid of. They have to sign the whole law or don't sign any of it. And, that's part of the reason why Obama came out and said, hey, this specific provision, an unrelated one, is unconstitutional, but I'm going to sign the law anyway, because he doesn't have the authorization to take that out. I believe that the only way to get rid of this would be for Congress to pass another law, disbanding this Global Engagement Center. So that's a cue for us to put pressure on our congressmen and our representatives to, hey, this is not okay. This law needs to be fixed. If you want to keep it, at the very least, put back the provision that says that none of the funds used in this section can be used to influence domestic individual or United States audiences. It can only be used for foreign audiences.
Right,
right now there's no, and at the very least, that needs to be demanded of our representatives. That must be added back into this law. It's embarrassing, in my opinion, that was removed. And it's even more embarrassing that nobody caught this in the media.
Well, the good news is that Andrew Kerr did catch it, and we appreciate it. We greatly appreciate it, and we appreciate your focus and your discipline and your willingness to read thousands of pages of laws, because without guys like you, nobody would do it, because the politicians won't do it, the media won't do it, and I admit Wayne Root won't do it. I just don't have the attention deficit disorder that allows me to do that. I just don't. I just don't have the ability to sit and read 2,000 pages of legalese. But thank God Andrew Kerr does. We appreciate it. He's from the citizensaudit.com. And Andrew, we appreciate you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Worn Out. When we come back, your calls. Nothing but your calls for the entire rest of the show. 702-546-4790. Get in the queue right now. At this moment, it's all free. It's all open. Get in the queue, and you will be guaranteed to get your voice heard on this show today with Wayne Allyn. 702-546-4790. Wide open now. Get ready, get set, call, make it rain for Wayne. 546-4790, or in California, 844-263-8232. All right, Wayne Allyn, War Now, looking for calls, 702-546-4790. We've got callers in the queue. We've got openings for more. Call us at 702-546-4790, or in California, 844-263-8232. The Seattle mayor is seeking $250,000 to protect illegal immigrants from deportation. Seattle's Mayor Ed Murray is setting aside taxpayer money to protect illegals from deportation under President-elect Donald Trump. It'll be spent on a plan to help immigrant families with the Seattle Foundation. While the Seattle Foundation hopes to raise some of the funds, according to the Seattle Times, the city plans to hold forums throughout the city to provide information to families who fear deportation. The Times reported immigrant rights training will be provided to school employees. Counseling and peer support for secondary school students will also be provided. Murray called Trump's platform a threat to Seattle's economy and its workers. Love this stuff. Now, a minute ago, you heard my new commentary for Sunday's RJ about immigration. And see, I wrote it just to answer liberals like him and stick it up as you know what. Because, see, my plan calls for no deportation other than criminals who've committed felonies in our prisons. We have no reason for our taxpayers to pay $50,000 a year to house a piece of garbage. So the minute you're convicted of a felony, you're out of this country. Gone, goodbye, never back in. How do I know never back in? Because my first plank of my platform was build the wall. So they'll never get back in. Send them out of here. Send them to Mexico. Send them to Nicaragua. Let them pay the bill. This isn't racism. Send them to Australia. Send them to Iceland, wherever they may be. If they committed a felony, not just people of color, if a white guy from England commits a felony, send them back to England. Let them pay to put him in prison. That's not our job. It's not the taxpayer's responsibility. But other than that, I don't want to deport anybody. I want them to stay here, never vote, and never be allowed to accept any form of government welfare. All they can do is work. That's it. That's it. That's my plan. So I'd love to throw that plan in the face of liberals like Ed Murray, the mayor of Seattle. What would he say to that? See, you're acting like all Republicans want to deport everyone and break up families. So if I say you won the lottery, you get to stay. You're never going to be deported. There will be no knock on the door in the middle of the night. You got exactly what you want. What's the American dream? To come here and live and work and play. But the American dream isn't welfare, is it? And food stamps. Is the American dream voting? Last I checked, when you're pining away in China and you want to come to America, it's not, I want to come to America and vote. It's not pining away in Mexico, I want to come to America and vote. So the fact that you came here illegally and broke the law, and now I'm taking away your right to ever vote, taking away your right to ever be a citizen, but you could always safely stay here and work with a green card or a worker card, whatever word you want to use, and you'll be a permanent resident, but not ever allowed to be a citizen. So I've just accomplished everything the liberals want. Why won't they accept my plan? You know why. Because they don't want people to work. They want them on welfare. They want them dependent on government, and they want them to vote. So if they're on welfare and they vote, they'll always vote Democrat. See, I'm upsetting the apple cart with my plan. I hope Donald adopts my plan. It totally sticks it where the sun don't shine. What did Brigitte Gabrielle say? The yin and the yang? Stick it in the yin and the yang? Where the sun don't shine for liberals. Right up the wazoo, as they say. Because it keeps everyone here. You won the lottery, you get to stay. But you got to work. No welfare, no voting. So let's see now if liberals want quality of life for individuals. Do you want quality of life for immigrants who come to America? I just gave it to you. Wonderful quality of life. But I didn't give you the right to vote. So is that going to upset you so badly that you will turn down my plan and therefore leave everyone in the darkness, leave them in the shadows, and they can't work legally, and they shouldn't be here, so they'll be deported? Because anyone who doesn't register within a 6-month period should be deported. Gone. Goodbye. Under my plan, you all get to stay here forever as long as you come out of the shadows, register, and refuse to accept welfare. So if you want to keep being illegal, great. Then we're going to deport you. Let's take Rich on line 2. Rich, you're on with W.A.R. Wade Alaroot. What's on your mind? Good. What's on your mind, Rich?
Hey, I just wanted to mention this thing about Hillary today with all this stuff opening up. And since Sessions has already told Congress that he'll recluse himself from anything to do with Hillary,
right?
You can be guaranteed that there's going to be a pardon from Obama now that this has all come up. Count on it.
Yeah, I would say most probably. I mean, why would Obama not pardon Hillary? You know, they're thick as thieves. She's his partner in crime. She has all the dirt on Obama. Every crime she committed, in my opinion, has the potential to bring Obama down. You know, and so If I was him, the Benghazi cover-up was her and Obama together. The Clinton Foundation, I'm sure, was many of Obama's friends giving money to Hillary Clinton's foundation. Hillary's emails on a private server, on a private email account that she illegally had, they were sent to Barack Obama. They must have been sent to his private account because a government server won't accept email from a private account. So that means Obama and Hillary were emailing each other, and they both were emailing on private email accounts. Nobody seems to get that. I'm the only one in America who figured this out a year ago, that if Hillary goes down, Obama goes down. So he will pardon her. You're right. On the way out the door. Yeah.
But the good news coming out of all of that is, as best as I can tell, it looks like there's going to be a complete investigation into the FBI right now and what's going on in there, and because there's so much crap going on.
No, but that announcement, Rich, that there's going to be an investigation by Justice into the FBI was started by Obama's Justice Department. They want to find the director of the FBI, James Comey, guilty of some sort of crime for announcing that Hillary was under investigation. Those are the bad guys who are investigating, not Trump's good guys. You understand that?
Well, I see where you're coming from, but I don't think they have a shot at that. Not for a second.
Well, we'll see. I mean, hopefully Trump will shut it down once he's in office 8 days from now. You know, a week and a day from today, he'll be sworn into office. We'll see what he does.
Well, there's no question about all this and this crazy stuff that went on with BuzzFeed and all of that. I mean, it's just an absolute farce. But they're just trying everything they can to set up what hopefully will end up being an impeachment. But once he gets the other side of the 20th, there's going to be no shot at that whatsoever.
All right, Rich, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. Before we go to ad break, I want to remind you, I want your calls to end the show, 702-546-4790. Here's some things worth talking about. Over 100,000 more Americans are on jobless benefits now than before Trump's election. So that means since November 8th, 100,000 people hit the unemployment lines. Wow. Thank you, Obama. You're poisoning the economy every day that you're still in office. Right-wing people are better looking than those on the left, a new study claims. We'll talk about that. Mexican official says immigrants are flocking to Chicago before Trump's inauguration because it's a sanctuary city, and a new Pew report is out proving that religion plummeted in America during the Obama era. Under Barack Obama's auspices, religion plummeted. We'll talk about all of it with your calls, 702-546-4790, or in California, 844-263-8232, right around the corner. All right, Wayne Allyn, middle-class warrior, relentless freedom fighter, conservative rock star, and all-around badass. Not to mention capitalist evangelist, the title I've always been most proud of. Here at 790 Talk Now in Las Vegas, 98.1 FM in Palm Springs. Latest Pew report is out. I love Pew. They are the best researcher in America, the best research group. Religion plummets in America during the Obama era. In a new study of Obama's legacy, the Pew Research Center found religious affiliation and practice dropped off dramatically during the last two terms in office. When it comes to the nation's religious identity, the biggest trend during Obama's presidency is the rise of those who claim no religion at all. Pew notes in a report this week titled How America Changed During Obama's Presidency. When Obama took office, those who identified as atheists or agnostics, along with those who said their religion was nothing in particular, total only 16%. On leaving office 8 years later, it's just about a quarter of the population. So 16% to almost 25%. On the contrary, the percentage of Americans who say they believe in God, consider religion to be very important in their lives, pray daily, and attend religious services at least monthly, have all dropped during the Obama era. Which is interesting because, as I said earlier in the show, I'm not a highly religious person, but I believe strongly in God. I consider religion to be important in my life. Certainly God and faith are important in my life. I do pray daily every morning when I wake up, and I do attend some sort of religious service at least monthly. Not daily, not weekly, but sure, 12 times a year, absolutely. So all of those fit me, and I don't consider myself super religious. And even those light parameters have dropped dramatically under Obama. America's largest religious demographic, those who self-identify as Christians, plunged from 78% to 71% in the last 8 years. The majority of those losses taking place among adults who identify with Protestantism and Catholicism. Evangelical Protestantism, along with historically black Christian denominations, have remained stable. During his 8 years, President Obama nettled religious conservatives over and over with moves that seemed calculated to undermine religious liberty. Tim Schultz, president of First Amendment Partnership, according to him, the Obama administration often viewed religion as an enemy standing in the way of their policy objectives. They view religious freedom as a kind of inconvenient speed bump on the way to those objectives, some say. Last spring, the Obama administration angered many conservatives with a Dear Colleague letter from the Department of Justice and Department of Education mandating that public schools had to allow students to use bathrooms corresponding with their gender identity rather than their biological sex. And then, of course, the most egregious example of the Obama administration's hostility to religion was what's been called Obama's war against the Little Sisters of the Poor, when the Obama administration claimed it had the power to compel church groups to provide abortion-related products and services and tried to bully the Little Sisters into offering these services against their beliefs. But the administration's antipathy, some might call it anger, some might call it hatred, towards religious freedom became more explicit in a 2016 report by the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights attacking religious liberty as a guise for discrimination. Obama-appointed Chairman Martin Castro stated that religious liberty was simply a justification for bigotry, prejudice, and discrimination. Did you know this? I didn't know this. I never heard this. Castro, isn't that a good word? Perfectly named guy. Who's your uncle? Fidel? Martin R. Castro claimed these phrases, religious liberty and religious freedom, are code words for discrimination, intolerance, racism, sexism, homophobia, Islamophobia, or any other form of intolerance. He further declared, religion is being used as both a weapon and a shield by those seeking to deny others equality. See, I would argue that every time, I'm a pretty open-minded guy. I don't bother gay people at all. But they want to bother me. They don't want equality. They want superiority. They want to shut me down and shut me up. And they want to be superior. Very clear. Liberals want end of free speech. They want to decide what fake news is, and they want to shut us down as conservatives. Just amazing. The commission also stated that religious exemptions from non-discrimination laws must be defined narrowly and warned that threats to civil liberties cloaked as religious freedom are emerging in dozens of states. So let me ask you this. For every religious freedom that you claim is not religious freedom but discrimination, I think you're discriminating. So when I'm a baker and I say my religion says I don't want to make a cake that says, I love gays, screw straight people. Do you want to bake a cake that says, I hate gays, screw gay people? Does a liberal who runs a bakery want to make a cake that says, screw all non-religious people, screw all atheists? Do you want to make a cake for a wedding of straight people who say they openly hate gays? Where does this end? I don't think you have a right to force a business to make a cake or provide services for anybody. I'm a libertarian on this issue, not a conservative, not a liberal, a libertarian. You have no right to force a Christian with the power of government to make a cake they don't want to make. It's their business if they want to say no. Now, I wouldn't say no. I'm a capitalist first, and I would say bring all your gay friends, we'll make cakes for everyone, and I double my business. But you have every right to say, I don't want to do that. I'm a Christian, I'm religious, and I believe homosexuality is a sin, and I will not participate in a gay wedding. You have every right to say that in a free society. And no government has a right to fine you or put you out of business. No one has a right to force me to make a cake for Muslims. Nor do I have a right to go into a Muslim bakery. See, this is what ought to be done. This is how you defeat liberals. You know, I'm a reality TV show producer. I need to go into Muslim-run bakeries and scream out, I'm a Jew, and I want a Jewish cake, and watch the horrified look on camera with a secret recording device of Muslims who then scream out in Islam, I'm not making no cake for a Jew. And let's see government sue them, fine them $100,000, and put them out of business under the Obama administration. It never would have happened. That's not equal application of the law, now is it? Now, under President Trump, that may very well happen. And I may put Muslim bakeries out of business when I do that. Let's walk into a white bakery, a black-owned bakery, wearing a shirt with a Confederate flag, and let me say to the black bakery employees and the black owner, I want a cake that says KKK forever. And let's see what the black owner says. You know what I think he has a right to say? Get the F out of my bakery, you piece of garbage racist. He has every right to say that. He owns the bakery, and he doesn't have to make a cake for a Yahoo who wants KKK on the cake. Doesn't have to do that. And I don't have to make a cake for someone who says screw white people or screw straight people or has a picture of a penis and two gay men dancing around it. I'm sorry. No one has a right to force anyone to do what they don't want to do in their own business. Let's take Wesley on line 1. Wesley, you're on with W.A.R. How are you?
Yeah, it's quite a good talk you just gave there. In other words, everyone has the right to politely ask, and everyone has the right to politely decline or accept.
And by the way, I don't even know if politely. What if I, as the business owner, say, get the hell out of my store? Now, I wouldn't do that. I would politely say, listen, I just don't want to do it. It's against my beliefs. I'd be nicer. As you know on the show, I'm nice to every caller. But some people wouldn't be nice. They'd say, get out of my store, you lousy gay person. Guess what? Government has no right to fine you over that. Now, you have a right to then picket the store. If you want to picket in front with a bunch of gay people, you could do that. This is a free society, right? But you don't have a right to tell people how to treat people.
You know, in other words, the way it's been going, no one has the right to disagree with anyone. That's the way it's been going, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And that doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Now, you called about Hillary and the pardon. We only have about a minute left.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think.
You know, this deal about pardoning Hillary. How can she be pardoned when she has not been formally charged with a crime?
I've looked into that, and you can pardon someone who has not been charged yet. You can pardon someone
You think that will hold? You think that will actually be accepted?
Yeah, a president can pardon anyone he wants for any reason, and they are free. They cannot be charged for any reason for anything up until that day. It doesn't hold moving forward. Tomorrow you commit a new crime, you got a problem. But a president's pardon holds for anything you did in your entire life until today, the day of the pardon, and Hillary cannot be prosecuted. That would be what would happen.
How do you think the people would react to him pardoning her?
I think they'd be very disgusted, but there's nothing they could do because he's not in office anymore and she's not in office anymore. And so President Trump would say that was a bad thing Obama did, and good riddance to you. Get the trash out.
And, of course, it won't look good on his legacy as he's so worried about.
Yeah. Wesley, we got to run. We got to run. Thank you. Thank you for the call. Wayne Allyn Root, W.A.R. Now. Have yourself a great day. We'll see you tomorrow, last day of the week, Friday. I'll be here all day tomorrow. We love your calls. Keep them coming. All the cops out there, God bless and be safe.